Come on in, folks. Come on in. Praise the Almighty. Shalom. Shalom. All right. Shalom, Sobis. Seek Christ at home. Do we have a choice? Or do you have a choice? How you doing, Levi? Chandra, how are you? How are you doing, brothers and sisters? Come on in. How are you? All right, I'm going to bring you all into Jacob's crying. Come on in. Come on in.
I hear Jacob crying. While here I can hear him crying. When you gonna rise, call on the Lord. Mighty Jacob, rise, let's hear your roar. When you gonna rise, Jacob? Oh, here you come back. Here you come, Jacob. Oh, here you come back. I feel Jacob rising. Can you see? I can see him rising. Jacob, dry your eyes and call on the Lord. Mighty Jacob,
Shalom.
rise to be restored.
Troubles are brewing.
Troubles are brewing, Jacob.
You need to stop what you're doing.
Stop what you're doing. Oh, Jacob.
Why? Because the promise is waiting.
The promise is waiting. Oh, Jacob. We need to call on the Lord. So you're all crying. I can hear him crying. Jacob, dry your eyes and call on the Lord. Mighty Jacob, rise, and you will be restored. Oh, troubles are brewing. No, Jacob,
You need to stop what you're doing.
just stop what you're doing. Stop it, Jacob. Because the promise is waiting. Oh, Jacob. So call on the Lord. And he will hear your voice. Oh, Jacob, let us hear it. Oh, no. Let's hear that roar.
Wake up,
Let's
Jacob.
hear it. Let's hear it.
You said it, true noun. Wake up, Jacob.
Ooh. Jacob, come and call on the Lord.
Jacob, call on the Most High. Call on the Most High. Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Elder Ricard Shiar of the Gathering of Christ Church. Of course, I'm rested up. I'm nice and rested. But I'm not going to be on long at all. Of course, there will be no phone calls today or anybody coming in with any opinion on doctrine or otherwise, being that that doctrinal boat have already docked, sailed, and went. Okay, we're in an entirely different phase of prophecy right now. You come on in. I'm only going to be a few moments. I may answer a few questions through the chat, but all in all, I'm just here to give our brothers and sisters an update. Okay. Okay, that's right. The title of this particular session, we're going to call this a session right before the Sabbath, not to get in the way of Ramar's broadcast tonight, because he has a broadcast coming out of Babylon that most should be in almost every Friday or whatever the case might be. So this is not to get in the way of what he's doing. He's going to be back tonight on the Blog Talk with Coming Out of Babylon. But yes, your eyes aren't deceiving you there. The title of this particular session is Freedom is on a Ventilator. Freedom is on a ventilator, folks. I mean, so many things is going on in the earth today. We all know you can't go anywhere. You can't turn on the TV or the radio without hearing something about this COVID and what effect it's having on life, on everyone's life. And hey, as I tell people all the time, my life really hasn't changed to tell you the truth. I mean, I've been doing the will of the Most High even before all this, and we've been talking about this time. And hey, it's a rude awakening for those who thought that this thing would continue forever. All right? It's a rude awakening, because right now freedom is on a ventilator. For years, there have been pastors, brothers and sisters in Christ, teachers coming with prophetic understanding of the fall of Babylon, according to the Most High. When Revelation 18 reads, Babylon the great is fallen, I believe Americans in particular, or those in the Western world, I believe that they were going on with their everyday mundane operation of capitalism, ignoring the signs. The signs were right before us. They still are. Okay? You should have known that something was going to happen. You should have, didn't you feel it in the air? And now, what's going on with freedom? Well, Uncle Sam, I heard, checked in a hospital over there in New York, and Uncle Sam is now on ventilation. He's on a ventilator right now, and if you're not careful, his organs might get harvested. But I digress. There's no time for games. I'm jumping right in. Okay, before the sundown tonight, I just wanted to chime in and let you get some insight on what's going on. Number one, the first thing that's going on is what I've noticed by, driving around and, to get my essential air. I was checking out the optics and how different societies, let me put it that way, different communities, that's a better word, is handling this. Not all of our people are asleep. Not all the poor are asleep, but many of us still are. And I can only think, I called Elder Gage and I say, man, we just have to pray for our people. We have to pray for them. And Gage called on the way here, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go on a broadcast for a while, because an atheist relative of Gage's called him. Now, this was a guy that Gage couldn't get to believe anything. That Bible. He was like Gage was when I met him. Gage was a starch atheist who had nothing to do with the Bible. But anyway, his cousin is still like that. So his cousin, who didn't want to hear anything concerning the Bible, finally called Gage up and asked, okay, Gage, tell me what's going on. What's happening? You notice that? And I'm like, that's deep in itself. Because even though our family claim they're not listening, they're really listening. It's almost like you have a family member in the tuck, right? Behind a glass where you can only break for emergencies. Well, I'm not going to deal with the Bible right now because, I got my job. I have these businesses. I have all these irons in the fire. Who cares about what the Bible is saying? The Bible is doom, gloom, prophetic preparation, moral examination, righteousness, brotherhood. Who cares about that? Who cares about the laws of God, the sacrifice of Christ, the new kingdom to come? Who cares about a new heaven and earth when this heaven and earth is, this heaven and earth right now is popping? Now atheists are calling Bible believers asking for answers. Why? Because the politicians aren't telling you exactly what's going on. Uncle Sam is on ventilation right now. Okay? He just checked in. COVID 76. For those who don't know, the Declaration of Independence, 1776. COVID 76, Uncle Sam just checked in. He have COVID 76 and he's on a ventilator. But I digress. No more jokes here. I said I wouldn't, but let me just jump right into it. I went into North Philly. Wanted to see what was going on. Just driving down Broad Street there near Cecil B. Moore Avenue. And I was like, man, I couldn't help but notice this long line up the street across from Temple University. And I'm like, man, what is this? A food line? Is it a soup line? What is this? It has to be something essential. Are they giving out checks? Folks, where my phone at? I had to take a picture of this, folks. Now, of course, I wasn't going to, pull out my phone and begin to take, pictures and video people in this line. It's North Philly, okay? Can't go out like that, not unless you're ready for some heat, right? But let me see here. I know where I was raised, so I knew better than that. Right? Let me see if I have it here. Let me see if I have it. One moment. Well, anyway, I'll just give it to you. I don't feel like fumbling with this phone. Anyway. What happened was, there's a long line. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. I thought they were giving out checks, food, or something. Folks, this was a Korean beauty shop right off of Broad and Cecil B. Moore or Columbia Avenue. A Korean hair and beauty shop had a line up the street in North Philly. And our people were actually, have to give it to them, they were practicing social distancing at a Korean hair and beauty shop. And I'm sitting there looking at this. I'm like, hold up. This is not an essential business. They're trying to stop churches from getting together. They're trying to stop families from getting together. We can't even bereave our own families in North Philadelphia and in the ghettos. But yet we can stand in line for wigs, hair weaves, hair products. And it wasn't just our sisters in the line. We had brothers in the line too. And I got in the car, and you know what? I just shook my head. I'm like, I can't film this because I'm not ready for a brawl right now. It's been a while. I'm not getting into that. I'm a Bible man. And I just shook my head. I'm like, Ahia, please send an intervention and let our people understand what time it is. Please. And I sat there and just, they didn't notice I was looking. I was just sitting there just looking at our people. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? Oh, hey, you know Jake. Jake got to have his waves going right. He had to get that stocking cap, right? I drive around a corner where I was raised. Sometimes I go there just to, you know, reflect back on my youth and where I came from, and wanted to see if certain things are still written in graffiti in certain areas and all that. Sometimes I just drive and, you know, reminisce and think of childhood when things were way better. Okay? We didn't have a lot of money and all those things, but the community was a community. I remember growing up where there was town watch in our communities, where we had, outside of the police, we had what you would call guardian angels, where our own brothers would come together as a security arm amongst the community to make sure nothing is wrong going on within the communities. I remember when we on our block had a block captain who organized community events, block parties, all of those things. I don't know if you all remember, but I remember it. And I'm like, let me go around the corner and see what's going on at the old place where brothers and sisters, where the brothers used to go there and get their coolers when coolers first came out, and malt liquor, whatever the case is. And you would have never guessed what I saw, folks. You would have never guessed what I saw. I saw brothers lined up at the malt liquor and malt liquor and beer place, practicing social distancing outside, getting their essential Steel Bull and Black Magnum essential. I'm like, something is seriously wrong here. Something is seriously wrong. How are these places still open in the midst of what they call a pandemic? How is this possible? And here's a sight for sore eyes. Up the street was a white guy. Now, this white guy, it didn't look like he was too well to do. He was a little roughed up. And I really wanted to take this picture, but I'm like, you know what? I can't do this. I'm going to let that be. He's standing on the corner waiting at Broad and Susquehanna, waiting on the C bus. Now, here's a sight for you. Let me illustrate this. He had his face mask on, right? Now check this out. And he had the face mask lift up just enough so that he can smoke a cigarette. I'm like, why don't he just poke a hole through his face mask and smoke the cigarette? I'm like, what's wrong with this picture here? You have people who are popping their beers, their malt liquor, and after they're finished, they're putting down their face mask. They're smoking cigarettes that kill more people in a year than COVID could dream of. And soon they finish smoking the cigarette, killing their lungs and insides, they put the mask back on. You have cats all up in the community. They probably bumping coke and everything else. They'll bump coke and do whatever they have to do, and then they'll put their face mask back on. Freedom is on a ventilator, folks. But a rude awakening is coming. Why, one might ask? This is why the Most High calls this Jacob's trouble. Because even in a time in which They have switched the narrative to say that this is now a black disease, just like they do anything, through the bait and switch political agenda. They usually start one way, but it ends up slap dab in the center of where we live. First it was Saddam Hussein, Bin Laden, Muslim extremist terrorism. What did the terrorists turn into COVID-19? We don't even hear none of those stories anymore. Why? Because now they're saying that black Israelites are the terrorists now. We thought that HIV and AIDS, or what they used to call a gay disease, I think they call it SIDS at one point. They said that AIDS was a gay disease, and we didn't think nothing of it. But now, black people are now the face of HIV and AIDS. That was the agenda the whole time. Now, we hear about something going on in Wuhan, China. Now they're claiming that blacks are disproportionately COVID-19. But we're going to shed a light on that today, because all of our people aren't asleep. All of us aren't asleep. It's just we have to work to wake up others. But the enemy understands what's going on, so he don't want our people awakened. So they're trying to scare people into quarantine and staying in their homes, while they one by one pick our people off and pick the world's population off. One by one. Under the cloud and guise of COVID. All of our people are in sleep. I need y'all to hear this real quick. When I say all of our people, I'm talking about God's people. Those are those people who are woke. Whether you black, white, whatever your color is. Those who can see. Check this out real quick. Listen to this.
My name is Marcia Lawrence Russell. This is the first time that I'm doing Facebook Live because, to be honest, I don't really... Hi, my name is Marcia Lawrence Russell. This is the first time that I'm doing Facebook Live because, to be honest, I don't really like doing anything like this. But I really think it's important that I tell you all about the injustice that's still going on with black people. Now, all of you would have heard that for some unknown reason, more black people are dying of coronavirus and COVID-19 than white people. How can that be when we only make up 3.1% of this population? So immediately when I heard that, my work is in this kind of field. So I said, well, that's got to be something around the fact that we're not getting the same kind of care, not even knowing that I would be one of the people that experience it. So my father is a diabetic. He has other ongoing problems.
Now, her father, folks, is a diabetic. She works in the healthcare field. Now, as far as we can hear now, it sounds like she's Caribbean. But she works in the healthcare field. She always knew that her father was diabetic, not COVID-19. Listen.
He had an infection. We were trying to treat it at home. He'd had numerous calls out to the ambulance. Anyway, eventually, he had to be taken into City Hospital in Birmingham. City Hospital on Dudley Road in Birmingham. He had to be taken into hospital. We were told so he can get antibiotics intravenously. When the first report that we got after he's being admitted, we were told that he had delirium. And that was as a result of him having having taken some blood results, that he had low sodium in his blood. So they sought to manage that. We thought, okay, fine, it'll be okay, they'll just manage that. Lo and behold, they also, actually, before I say lo and behold, before that, they did other tests. So they did a scan because of his confusion, and they eliminated, thank the Lord,
she's familiar.
Alzheimer's or dementia. They did scans of his chest, scans of his abdomen, and everything came back clear. So we were more or less content that he would just get treated for the delirium. In the afternoon, my father's confusion became more pronounced in that he becoming a bit aggressive in the hospital. Of course, it was his illness. And by the early evening, my sister called an emergency meeting of the family. And she was told, the consultant now said, believe this, I'm thinking about it now and I want to cry. But it's important that I put everything aside to let you know what's happening. And the consultant on Ward 30 at the City Hospital said that she's now going to put my father on a suspected COVID-19 ward. Naturally, we said.
Now, listen to this. He went in as a diabetic. They diagnosed him with some type of delirium. And then the doctor came to her and the nurse came to her and said, we're going to put your father in the COVID-19 ward. Now, I need you to think about this. For all of our people who are in the ghettos, standing in those hairlines and all that, who believe that someone in their family member died of COVID-19 in one of these hospitals.
Got a cough? No. Has he got a high blood pressure?
Let me go back.
The consultant on Ward 30 at the City Hospital said that she's now going to put my father on a suspected COVID-19 ward. Naturally, we said, has he got a cough? No. Has he got a high blood pressure? No. Has he got any kind of symptoms that we're aware of that for COVID-19? No. We're thinking this is crazy. You can't just go and put a man who's now 79, diabetes, obviously confused, onto a COVID-19, suspected COVID-19 ward. She said, well, he's got delirium. Okay, where is it reported that delirium is a sign of COVID-19? Or is it just my father? So, of course, the decision was, what do we do? Because she's given us an ultimatum that we either come and get him or he gets put on the ward. Of course, we're praying people.
So the hospital called them and said, we're going to put him in a COVID. We're going to commit him in a COVID ward. Now, once he's in the ward, folks, he's now labeled diseased, quarantined, and a threat to society. So they usually call the family first to see how the family is going to react to it. If the family say, well, okay, they'll just do it. So at least they gave her the open to actually get in and get her family. They're like, either you come get your family, you come get your father, or we're going to put him in the COVID-19 ward. So how many people have they done this to?
About it, we said, okay, look, you know what we'll do, as long as there's nobody on the suspected ward that has COVID-19, it'll be reasonably safe. We're going to pray, let him go over there. I've got children, my sister's got children, so we all got levels of vulnerabilities. We'll do that, and then we'll deal with this on Monday, because this actually happened yesterday, Easter Sunday morning, Sunday day. We get back, having made that very, very difficult decision. My sister calls back the consultant while we are there. Previous to this, I must say that they said to him that because he's got some level of kidney failure, that if he does go onto the COVID-19 ward and he has any difficulties, lo and behold, they are not going to resuscitate him. I'm thinking this is why black people are dying as for COVID-19 or not on these wards when we only make up such a small minority of the population. This is anyway. When
So listen to this. She said, now, if we do put him in the COVID-19 ward, being that your father also has kidney issues, we will have, I'm going to tell you right now, if he's on life support, we will not keep him on life support. Listen, they're actually telling her that they're going to kill her father. That when we put him in COVID-19 ward, the order to not resuscitate is now implemented. Automatically, when we put him in a COVID-19 ward, we are not to resuscitate him. So they right out told her that they was going to kill her father for coming into the hospital, being treated with diabetes. Listen.
I'm not going to resuscitate him. I'm thinking this is why black people...
I'm sorry, let me go back. I want you all to hear.
On Monday, because this actually happened yesterday, Sunday, Easter Sunday morning, Sunday day. We get back, having made that very, very difficult decision. My sister calls back the consultant while we are there. Previous to this, I must say that they said to him that because he's got some level of kidney failure, that if he does go on to the COVID-19 ward and he has any difficulties, lo and behold, they are not going to resuscitate him. I'm thinking this is why black people are dying as for COVID-19 or not.
This is why people are dying of. This is why they're getting these what you would call, they bloviating these numbers, inflating these numbers to make people believe this is a black issue. Now, delirium, that's mental issues, right? So think about how many people in our community are struggling with mental issues, with mental issues as the side effect for some of our medication. Think about how many of us go to the hospital for diabetes, high blood pressure, be put on the medication, which actually, subsequent to that, begin to destroy our organs, leading to things like kidney failure, kidney disease, strokes. So we're already a sick community. We're sick already. And then we go to those who we pay our tax money to and entrust that they will take care of us. And they're going to use our pre-existing conditions. They're weaponizing pre-existing conditions by now saying if you come in here with any mental illnesses or any of the sicknesses you've always struggled with, we can now call it COVID-19, put you in a ward, and do what? Put you to sleep like a dog. This is why they're getting all these COVID-19 numbers. And then we have a lot of our people who don't know how this works are volunteering themselves up with all these different tests, like your athletes. They're walking around normal talking about they have COVID-19. Well, I don't feel anything. I feel normal, but I was tested positive. Put two and two together, folks. This is the only disease out here where you don't have to have any effects at all and still be a threat to humanity. It's insane. This is a disease without symptoms. What is that? We're going to show you what it is in a moment. Let her continue.
Wards when we only make up such a small minority of the population. This is anyway. When she was saying to Rachel, to my sister, look, are you going to come and get him or not? I'm actually saying my dad can't possibly have COVID-19 because you all will know that if he does have COVID-19, they can't let him out of the ward. Plus the fact that he's confused. They didn't ask about his wife, and now he has got a wife. She's in her 80s. They didn't ask about his wife. They haven't done any follow-up about whether or not we have to be in isolation. Nothing. They just said that he's going in that ward, and that's it. We had to make an immediate decision. And I drove down with my other sister, took him from City Road at 10:30 in the evening last night. My father, after a little while, came down from the ward without the aids of any kind of wheelchair. He's not stable on his feet. Without any aid of wheelchair, he came down without a mask. The nurse has got a mask, security's got a mask, the people manning the door have got a mask. Everybody's got a mask but my father. So
look at that. To show you this mask thing is a sham. Everyone had a mask but her father. Now, if he had COVID-19, think about it, and they know he had COVID-19, why would they release him in the population without a covering? They just walked him out of the door and say, go get your father, we're going to kill him.
Well, came down from the ward without the aids of any kind of wheelchair. He's not stable on his feet. Without any aid of wheelchair, he came down without a mask. The nurse has got a mask, security's got a mask, the people manning the door have got a mask. Everybody's got a mask but my father. So it's a good job that I had with me masks and sanitizers and gloves, put something on my car, even though I know he hasn't got it, to transport him to Refuge Hospital.
That's him right there, look. She went and filmed it. She went and got her father. I praise the Most High. That's her honorable sister right there. She went and got her father. She's not listening to what they're talking about. She works in the healthcare field. Look at her father. She went and got her father. Now, the majority of us would have been on the phone when the doctor and hospital called and say, well, we're going to put him in a COVID ward. Well, oh, Jesus, let's call the pastor and pray. My father got COVID-19. Oh, Jesus, may Jesus pull him through. That's the mindset of our people right now. And the enemy knows it. She went and got her father. That's her honorable sister right there.
All the way up there, there is another angel in there. I'm not going to call his name just in case he doesn't want to be known. But I'm sure if he wishes, he will link in on this at some point. But God sent another angel. He was over there. They admitted my father. We went away thinking, okay, great. This morning, very, very early at 5 o'clock.
You know what's a shame, though, folks? To show you how far we have fallen as a people. This is a woman. Where's the men? Oh, the men are like the 350 pound football players that are coming down saying that he's going to self-quarantine himself in the house, healthy for 14 days because he have COVID but not showing any symptoms. That's your men. Where they'll restrain you or actually imprison you or house arrest you on a rumor of COVID-19. Through a rumor. Through some ambiguous possibility of someone coming down with something. A burly 300, 400 pound man, a football player, get on TV and say, yes, I got COVID and I'm not showing any symptoms, but the doctor says I have it. I'm going to just self-quarantine myself in a room and play with my little blankie. And I'm going to let the women come out and stand like men for us.
The confusion happened again. My dad became a little bit more aggressive again. And so they were wondering how to sedate him. Now, here's the next level of incompetence. Gross misconduct. Breach of the medical oath of first do no harm. The city hospital didn't even pack my father's insulin. So I had to go all the way down with my other sister to pick up the insulin, to go back with my other sister, to go back to Redditch to drop off his in.
Where's the men here? It took two sisters to go save their father. Listen, my first son, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I mean, he's been spawned from me. Okay? If anyone here that I'm someplace, my son will run through a wall to get me. Okay? Because I would do the same for him. There's no way way someone going to call somebody and call my son and say, well, we got your father held somewhere and did nothing wrong, and we're going to put him down on some ventilator and him not go through there with a serious spiritual crew. I mean, what has happened to the children of Israel? Where someone only have to tell you that they're going to kill you and give you a reason for it, and you'll capitulate. And the people will just capitulate to it. What was it, through duress? Did someone have a gun to your head? Well, no. The news reporter told us to go down there and get put down like dogs.
Lo and behold, my father is now once again in the suspected COVID-19, you know what I mean, ward. Why? Have you done a test? Yes. Is his chest all clear? Yes. Is he breathing? Yeah. No. Is there any temperature? No. Exactly the same thing. Why is he in the ward? Because City Road put in the reports that my father was actually on their suspected virus ward. There is nothing on the report which says that there was any kind of contention with the family, that he was removed from the hospital prior to going onto that ward. Nothing. And yet, because of what was written in the report, fair enough, Redditch followed suit, read what was...
By the way, I'm going to show you how ridiculous all this stuff is. She was able to go get her father, check this out, at night, late at night and all that, during a stay-at-home order. A woman defied the television and the talking heads because really there's no duress. No one has stopped you from actually doing anything. Because there's nothing out there. She was able to just go drive and go see her father. And then they let him out. They let him out without a mask. I mean, this is utterly ridiculous, is it? But the guy from the Corbett report really quantified this whole thing. He gave an articulate, I would call small commentary on the psyche of this whole idiocracy called COVID-19. And I'm going to play that in a moment, but let me play it out.
And put it up there again, down to City Road. So we all need to understand that the only possible reason why black people are dying of COVID-19 to a higher rate than our white counterparts has got to be for something other than this virus, which is not a medical form as if it was sickle cell. We're not getting the same treatment. People are dying. They're saying that it's COVID-19 and they're not even got the disease. So people, please support this movement. Pass it on. Let us get together and fight against this injustice in the midst of the fact that I appreciate I go out there every Thursday and I clap for the nurses. But I'm telling you, in the midst of all of this, there's something going on and somebody needs to say something. See ya. Hi, my name is Marcia Lawrence Russell.
All of us aren't asleep, folks. Where's Jesse Jackson? Where's Reverend Al Sharpton? Where's Barack Obama? Oh, Barack Obama is endorsing Joe, the crime bill, throw black people in prison forever, Biden. Where are the men? She went and got her father. And you know what? The Most High honor that type of courage and valor. Because if we don't look out for our family, no one will. No one will. They're putting people down like dogs and calling it COVID-19. And while this is going on, the same people's families who's dying in the hospitals being put down like dogs are standing in lines of the beauty shops owned by Koreans doing what? Social distancing to get their wigs, their hair grease, their shea butter. Then you go around the corner from the beauty shop, another Asian shop selling malt liquor. Are these essential businesses? And while they're allowing these businesses that have always destroyed our people in the community to thrive in the midst of a pandemic, because somehow COVID doesn't affect the guy that owns the malt liquor shop, the hair shop. COVID-19 knows not to go in there. But while they're actually allowing those businesses in our community that's killing us to continue to thrive, all the businesses where people have put all their livelihood and blood, sweat, and tears in, the family businesses are actually being strangled out as we speak. The things that we really need are closed. Churches for prayer. Even for self-defense. They're putting a stranglehold on those who would go to actually buy freedom protection. But yet, you're going to tell me malt liquor in North Philly, where I grew up at, that have always killed our people, is essential? On top of that, I walk up the street and I see a guy, he should have just cut a slit in his face mask, because he's sitting there with a cigarette leaning on the outside of his mask, blowing smoke off the other side. His mask is tilted while he's smoking a cigarette. What's wrong with this picture, folks? I'm gonna show. See, unless someone put this all together for you to let you know the nonsense we're dealing with, a lot of us would be totally perplexed to what time we're living in. You'll be totally perplexed. So we have to now put it and illustrate it in a way that you can understand it, so that you can get ready and prepare for what we're really up against. This is way deeper than some COVID-19, folks. So, Corbett report, this brother here, he actually articulates the whole scenario while walking around outside. He's in Japan now, without a mask or without nothing. But listen to what he's saying here.
I'm reporting to you from the socially close streets of Western Japan. In Walden, Henry David Thoreau famously observed that there are 1,000 hacking at the branches of evil to one striking at its root. And there can be no doubt that there are many thousands that are hacking away at the branches of the evil that we see spreading out before us in the name of this pandemic panic, diligently deconstructing the dissembling discourse of the disease doomsayers, and rightfully so. I count myself amongst them. However, if all we are doing is smacking down the lies that are being spread about this pandemic as soon as they arise, then we run the risk of missing that root of the evil altogether. So allow me, if you will, to take one hefty swipe at that root with my battle axe of truth by clearly stating and rejecting the new governing principle for society that we are being asked to accept on the basis of this pandemic pandemonium. Now, this new governing principle for society, of course, is implicit. I mean, we're going to sign on to it by our silent consent, not our explicit consent, but nonetheless, it rests on a hypothetical chain of infection that can take place in the event of a spreading infectious agent. Now, keep in mind, this has nothing to do...
Now, what he's saying is everyone now has been locked up in their homes based on an hypothetical. The chance that something might happen. This is why everyone is locked up in their homes. With the chance of something that might happen. This is why people are losing their jobs. Listen.
novel coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2. This is about a general principle. But the principle holds that if there is a spreading infectious agent of some sort that is hypothetically infecting people around the globe, and you might become infected by this agent, and you might end up passing it on to someone else, who might end up passing it on to someone else, etc., etc., and somewhere down that chain of infection, someone who is immunocompromised might end up becoming infected, and they might be part of that sliver of a fraction of a percentage point of the population who might die from the disease. And if that were to take place, well, of course, every single link in that chain of infection should be classified as a murderer. And in order to prevent such a mass murder from taking place, governments around the world are not just empowered, but actually obligated to implement a sort of de facto medical martial law by following the pronouncements of the duly unelected health authorities to do whatever they deem necessary to prevent such a hypothetical chain of infection from taking place, up to and including quarantining people within the walls of their own homes, and or entering those walls to forcibly remove people from their own homes.
And at the moment, in most parts of the world, due to lockdown, most of the transmission that's actually happening in many countries now is happening in the household, at family level. In some senses, transmission has been taken off the streets and pushed back into family units. Now we need to go and look in families to find those people who may be sick and remove them and isolate them in a safe and dignified manner.
Now he's saying, well, we've gotten the disease off the streets, but now the infections are in the home. Now this is someone over in England somewhere, right? He says now we must go into the homes and take families because the infections are in the homes. You hear this? This is a discussion at the WHO over in Europe. But this guy right here, without an army, why don't he come and try to take someone out of their homes? See, these guys can talk all tough behind the table, but let's see if this guy come to North Philly, dude, and try to take someone out of our homes and see what happens to you. This is that tough Tony talk. Guys who grew up who didn't get no play in school. These are the people who didn't get no notoriety growing up, and in the back of the class because no one would sit next to them, and in the back they was thinking, one day if I ever get any power, I'm gonna blow up the whole earth and create a disease and try to kill everyone with it. Okay, these are those types of people, Satanists. Oh yeah, well since we got them off the street, now let's go drag them out of their homes. This is the little guy that was back in your school, you know, purposely would take his lunch and go sit at the other side of the cafeteria by himself, thinking about how he can shoot up something. Listen to this guy.
Martial law by following the pronouncements of the duly unelected health authorities to do whatever they deem necessary to prevent such a hypothetical chain of infection from taking place, up to and including quarantining people within the walls of their own homes, and or entering those walls to forcibly remove people from their own homes.
Now you're about to hear about the guy who couldn't get the girl coming up. Here he is.
And at the moment, in most parts of the world, due to lockdown, most of the transmission that's actually happening in many countries now is happening in the household, at family level. In some senses, transmission has been taken off the streets and pushed back into family units. Now we need to go and look in families to find those people who may be sick and remove them and isolate them in a safe and dignified manner.
So how are you going to extract families from their home in a dignified manner?
being asked to accept this abrogation of our most precious freedoms, including our freedom to travel, our freedom of association and assembly, our freedom from arbitrary detention within the walls of our own home, our freedom of privacy in transaction and interaction, and other hard-fought freedoms that were purchased at the price of our forefathers' blood, on the basis of a novel coronavirus that is presenting a novel existential threat to humanity that has never before existed. But that, of course, is a lie, because every single flu season for your entire life, there have been just such hypothetical chains of infection that have taken place, and I have no doubt, let's put it on the table, I have no doubt that there is someone listening to my words right now who has been involved in some chain of infection that has ended up in some immunocompromised person dying. Never before has that person had to think of themselves as a murderer, let alone lock themselves within the confines of their own home to prevent such a murder from ever taking place again. But that is what we are being asked to accept right now. And I want this out on the table, because if we do not clearly articulate this principle that we're being asked to accept, then by our silence we will consent to it. We will tacitly, implicitly consent to what is taking place right now, and I want to clearly state it and clearly reject it. Now, there may be some people in the crowd who disagree with me, so first of all, let me put something else out on the table and make it very clear that, of course, none of what I say is to in any way undermine the basic right that everyone has, everyone always has had, and everyone always will have to take whatever precautionary measures they feel is necessary in order to prevent such a chain of infection from taking place, including isolating yourself in your own home, wearing whatever protective gear you want, socially distancing yourself from anyone you come in contact with, or anything else that you feel is appropriate to prevent such a chain of infection. Of course you have that right, but that negative right is now being flipped on its head into a positive obligation on everyone in society to stop all productive human activity, to lock everyone up in their homes, and to treat them as prisoners, tracking and surveilling everything that they do and everyone that they come in contact with on the basis of a hypothetical chain of infection that could take place. And I want that out on the table. If you agree with that principle and you think that is a good thing, then clearly state it. State it to my face. Oh wait, you can't, because you are a prisoner within the walls of your own home and you are not allowed into Japan, but you probably think that's a good thing. But at least say it to my digital face. Clearly state that you agree with the abridgment of our most basic freedoms on the basis of this hypothetical chain of infection. And clearly state where your line in the sand is. What do you think would be going too far for the government to do on the back of such a pandemic panic? Biometric ID, tracing and tracking every movement of every citizen at all times for the rest of their lives? Or the ability to march into people's homes to check for potential infections and forcibly vaccinate them if need be? Or any other number of measures that are now coming into view as a result of this panic? Where is your line in the sand? Clearly state it so that when that line is crossed, people will see that you are a hypocrite for cheering it on. Unless there is no line in the sand, and you think that governments are justified in doing anything that any presumed health authority says in the light of a pandemic situation. But at least state it openly and on the record. Don't hide behind vague, fluffy, woolly language. Tell us what you, specifically, not the agents of the state to whom you outsource your violence, but you would do in order to prevent people from living their lives in the event of a pandemic. There's a lot to think about here, and I hope you will do so, and join me in clearly rejecting this principle that we are being asked to accept right now. And if you do so, I think we will be getting a lot closer to striking at the root of this evil. James Corbett, CorbettReport.com.
For those who've missed it, I don't have time to because I see we're up to 2,300 people. I'm not going to be here that long, but I see that a lot of people have come in. I don't have time to actually go back and into the full details of how this whole broadcast began and the videos I played before this. But when this video is done, you don't want to miss it. Go back and look at it in its entirety. But in a nutshell, what James Corbett just stated was, we're being forced quarantined, folks. Forced quarantine on an hypothetical of someone with a compromised immune system might catch something through somebody who didn't know they even had it. This whole premise is hypothetical. Right? A psyop. Then we showed a sister who's a nurse earlier, and you'll see it once you review the video back, who had to come get her father in Birmingham, UK. She's still Caribbean because Benjamin is over there, but she's a British citizen, a sister, who was told that if she didn't, told that her father, who went to the hospital for diabetes, okay, and some form of delirium, that he was going to be put on a COVID-19 ward with a non-resuscitate order in place. They were going to kill her father under COVID-19, and he only checked in because he had diabetes. She had to go get her father from the hospital, folks. Because if they would have checked him into the ward, there's checking in, but they don't check out. And the ventilation is keeping people alive just long enough to get their organs. Now, check this out. All of a sudden, there's some people somewhere that are doing something about this. Look on your screen. The New York Post. The New York Post here, brothers and sisters. I need y'all to check this out. The New York Post. Okay? A reputable paper. Well, I don't know how reputable it is. Zionist program in the New York Post. Protesters clogged streets in Michigan over Whitmer coronavirus stay-at-home order. Listen to this. Let me blow it up for you. Thousands of protesters on foot and vehicles converged Wednesday on Michigan's capital to rally against Governor Gretchen Whitmer's stay-at-home orders in the state. Operation Gridlock, organized by the Michigan Conservative Coalition, created a huge bumper-to-bumper traffic jam around Michigan Capitol building in Lansing, Fox 2 Detroit reported. Ms. Sean Maddock, an organizer of the group, said that the demonstrators included Republicans, Democrats, and Independents. Check out their quote. They couldn't be more right than this. Quarantine is when you restrict movement of sick people. Tyranny is when you restrict the movement of healthy people. You're not supposed to quarantine healthy people, folks. Maddox told Fox News, every person has learned a harsh lesson about social distancing. We don't need a nanny state to tell people how to be careful. The protest has been expected to start at noon, but a line of vehicles stretching for miles began earlier in the morning. Operation Gridlock was one of the many demonstrations planned across the country to push back on the stay-at-home orders, calling on state governments to focus on the economic toll the coronavirus pandemic has caused along with taking care of the sick. Nearly 17 million Americans have been laid off or furloughed. Now, check this out. They claim that so many thousands have died from coronavirus. That's a give me. Sad story. But think about the effects of 17 million Americans and others around the world who've been laid off from their jobs, and the residual effects on their mental, physical, and their life in general. How many people will die strictly from being out of work? 17 million Americans have been laid off or furloughed in the past 3 weeks, or 1 of every 10 workers. Echoing President Trump that we cannot let the cure be worse than the disease. Now, of course, this is the right-left paradigm, because if the president wanted to, he would just say this stuff is over like he called it on. Okay, so this is a left-right argument to make you believe that one side is against the other. But if the president really believed that of what he was saying, he would just say, we're done with this nonsense. Okay? It says right here, the healthcare system basically shut down. Let me go here. Echoing President Trump that we cannot let the cure be worse than the disease. Maddox said the restrictions are wrecking people's lives and may have killed more people than the virus. The healthcare system is basically shut down, she said. People with issues are having trouble seeing a doctor. And I noticed that right next to the pharmacy in North Philly, the doctor's office was closed. Funneling our people who need healthcare issues tended to go into these hospitals and be labeled COVID-19, folks. The healthcare system is basically shut down, she said. People with issues are having trouble seeing a doctor because everyone is focused on the virus. My husband and I are checking in on in-laws, but even doing that is now breaking the law. It's breaking the law to actually see your family. Trump has created a White House task force charged with trying to find ways to reopen the economy. He has suggested a May 1st deadline. Remember when we heard in March that things should be okay by mid-April? But some governors have said that timetable is too soon. You see how they kicking this proverbial can down the road? Over what they claim 600 people died, when really we don't know if it's COVID-19 or not. Why? Because those with compromised immunity that are dying have been told, here it is, the emergency room and the hospitals have been told by the CDC to label COVID-19 for the majority of deaths that was under something else a year ago. So where does this lead, one might ask? What happens when people realize that they're actually being choked out? And this is why I titled this, Freedom is on a Ventilator. There's some people who have put all their life savings into certain businesses. Hopefully it works out for them. Maybe a $1,200 stimulus check would do them fine. See? Just imagine a 400-pound weightlifter with his knees in your chest, hands around your neck, and you're saying, let me breathe, give me air. And he's saying, well, okay, I'm going to let go lightly in about 15 minutes. Okay? No, you're not dying yet. I can still see you. You're breathing. Okay? In 15 minutes, I'll let go. Now, you're still living, but you're getting choked out. Okay? And this is what's going on, because what's happening? Those that own businesses on the shore, for the last 2 years I see on the East Coast, rain have destroyed all the on the East Coast have destroyed all the shore businesses. Jersey Shore, Baltimore Harbor, going into Atlantic City, Wildwood. Storms for the last 2 years and rain have totally dried up those businesses to a degree in which the business owners are saying, well, if we have one more bad season, we're going to have to close up. Now look, they were dependent on a good summer that was coming, and guess what? There's no people on the beach. Why? Because who's going to come in? Folks, who can wait everyone out financially right now? The banks. The banks can wait you out. Because each day your business is losing money with that overhead, that mortgage overhead, they can come in and buy your property out right from under you, pennies on the dollar. And that's why these people there are protesting. This is the bank run, folks. And some people think, well, hold up, I'll get a mortgage relief. You're not getting the mortgage relief. They're just giving you a reprieve and taking that same mortgage that they're saying you don't have to pay right now and putting that money on the back of your mortgage. Which means you're still responsible for paying a house even if you lose your job. Who benefits from that? The banks. They come in and buy your house out. Pennies on a dollar. And we're going to come into a system under Agenda 21 in which people will not be able to actually buy homes once the bank owns them. Okay? Read Agenda 21. This is a land grab. This is a property grab under COVID-19. And guess what? This is why the military is ramped up. Because when people realize what's really going on, the fact that they're being strangled out while waiting on things to get normal, people are going to lose their minds. Okay? Especially in America. And then you know what happens after that? What happened, and I'm looking at our brothers and sisters, like I mentioned earlier, folks. Our sisters were in a line up the street in North Philadelphia, off of Broad and Cecil B. Moore, in a line to get hair products, hair weave, wigs, and all that while social distancing at a Korean shop in North Philadelphia. You go around the corner, the beer and malt liquor shop, brothers are practicing social distancing in North Philadelphia to get their malt liquor. Colt 45, they're 40. They're 40 ounces of brain kill. So what happens? Because our people in the ghettos aren't preparing for food. So eventually, I know what's going to happen. Instead of men getting in front of this, warning people and prepping right now, you're going to have brothers now in the ghettos, that used to sell drugs or still sell drugs, and they're the only people with really guns, to tell you the truth. And they're going to take that by any means necessary mentality, not preparing because they was in the lines getting malt liquor, and they're going to go where they think is food. And who benefits from that? The banks. They want a civil war so they can come in with the army and have a real martial law instead of COVID-19. And now there's a need to bring order within the United States. And they can't bring order unless they do what first? Gun confiscation. Listen, I can see this as clear as day. Can you? Can you see this? And what's deep is they were able to do this much, folks. They was able to do this much. Squeeze an economy. Choke the citizens out, folks, without a standing army against you. Think about that. Think about that. Just from some people talking They were able to accomplish all this, folks. Just from talking. I'll tell you this, though, and this is what I'm going into tomorrow. The rise of the ten horns, while Babylon is falling. We're going to go into Revelation 17 and 18 tomorrow like you've never seen before. Because it's time to get our spirits right. Because that 400-pound guy with his knees in your chest, with his arms around your neck, isn't going to let go, folks. He's just going to keep telling you, well, don't worry about it. I'll tell you what, let me just ease my thumbs up off of your vocal cords real quick. Okay, off your tonsils real quick. You breathe a little bit? Okay, guess what? I'll let you breathe in another 30 days, okay? All right? They're not going to let go, folks. One thing about the powerful, they don't believe in relinquishing power. Whatever rights they take away, you're never getting back again. If they can get you to capitulate to a degree in which you're standing in line and now you see your own family member right next to you and you don't even hug your own family, and if they can do that without a standing army forcing you to do that, you think they're going to bring things back to normal? When you just capitulate all the way to the degree, and guess what, people, and I'm going to tell you, the real psyop is what they showed us through the Holocaust movies. How people capitulated, they volunteered to get on a train for safety. Oh no, some people have typhus and different diseases. I'll tell you what, we have to make sure you're clean so that you don't disease others in the quarantine concentration camps. So we're going to spray you off with water. And guess what? They show, quote unquote, regardless of whether or not you think it was true or not, this is the narrative, that people were doing movies, the children were playing in the yard, everyone was happy. Germany was actually using PR to make people believe this was the best thing for the Jews. And while that was happening, they were marching people who capitulated all the way to the concentration camps to a hole and shooting people. They volunteered all the way to their deaths. And then subsequent to that, they're being burned in incinerators. Because why? The whole time the media was telling them, this is the best thing for you. Everything will go back to normal. It's absolutely fine. And think about it right now. Right now, they have totally healthy people with strong immune systems. People who can run through walls. Football players, basketball players. Strong, healthy people walking around as if with masks on. Scared to even get next to another person. So if they can have you do that, next thing, what's to stop them from having you quarantine in your home and wait for somebody to come grab you until you're somewhere with a ventilator down your throat in which your family can't come to see you, and then take all your organs, throw you in a hole, make a contract with the funeral homes to burn your body to ashes as if you never, ever mattered. What's to stop them from doing that? And what I see when I walk and drive through North Philly, I don't see any level of resistance or knowledge of what's really going on. I mean, it's sheep being led to the slaughter, folks. It's sheep being led to the slaughter. So tomorrow, I'm going all the way in. Revelation 17 and Revelation 18, because that's where we are. That's where we are. Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen. One thing about the powerful, these power-hungry scenarios, someone with power never relinquishes it. That's a rule. If I can give these people to give up their own freedoms, why should I give it back? Okay? Their freedoms will empower me to take more freedom. Okay? If you relinquish the power, it fuels the powerful to do what? Have enough to take more. Freedom is now on a ventilator. I'm going to say this before you go. Believe your ears, believe what you can see, and believe what you can hear. Okay? Don't believe the hypotheticals and the psyops. Believe your optics. Believe what you're seeing. Do you see people dying all over the streets in front of you? Do you see that? You don't see people dying. You're hearing of people dying after what? Being checked in. Under the darkness or cloud of night while you're sleeping, and you're only getting the statistics the next day, right? But you're not seeing evidence of a pandemic, are you? Do you? Do you see that? So you have to understand what's going on. Hey, folks, it's time to get right with the Most High and Christ. It's time to get our lives together. It's time to repent, think more so on righteousness, and get right with the Almighty, because the angels of the presence are here before us, and they're protecting us. You can't see them, but they're with us. But they'll only stand and work for the righteous. Okay? Because I'm going to tell you, the powers that be, the fallen ones who are controlling this whole realm, folks, they're playing for keeps. And they have a plan. They have a plan in place for each of our reactions to their psyop. You have people losing their businesses, all that. You have prisoners being released into society. They're actually trying to create chaos. I'm going to tell you right now. So what happens when they close all the restaurants, all the supermarkets, all your bodegas and corner stores? What happens when there's no trucks coming in? Like we told you years ago would happen. And the only things that brothers have in that neighborhood is guns and ammunition that they were using on each other. You can't eat bullets. See? You can't eat bullets. You can't eat the gun. So what happens? See, Satan is playing chess with the ghetto, folks, with the hood. You don't have food and water, but you have guns. You have bullets in the hood. So you're going to try to turn that into something tangible to feed your household. Anytime you will go sell drugs to your own people to eat, you will sell drugs to your own people to put food on your table, which is evil in itself. So if you're going to do that, what's to stop you from doing what? Taking your ammunition and going someplace where strangers you don't even know have food. The enemy is banking on that. You best believe they have studied the hood. And that's why they have actually put this COVID-19 specifically as a black problem. Specifically. Understanding that through our existence under this curse that the Most High placed us under, when we were targeted, we never came back to the Most High all together as one to come together with a unified understanding of how to get out of it according to Him. We've never operated like that. Every time they've put those labels on our people, we've used that as a pretext to believe everything the enemy was saying and to begin to separate and divide and to kill each other off. and to harm each other. Guess what, folks? They're gonna cut off those EBT cards, and they're gonna cut off your welfare. So you think that stimulus check? Everybody's celebrating the stimulus check right now, folks. But they're not gonna send you a stimulus check every month. Remember, that's that big burly weightlifter on your chest with his fingers in your throat. He just let the thumbs off just a little bit with the stimulus check to make you believe it's going to be all right. Because why? The people are growing impatient, and they know it. And they haven't implemented their full military apparatus in place as of yet. Their roads aren't finished yet. So they give them a stimulus check, and that'll buy them another week or two. They'll get some malt liquor. A matter of fact, open up the borders and send some cocaine, some opioids down there. Open up all the marijuana shops so they can stay asleep. Give them some money to get high with, while we finish building this military infrastructure right up under their noses. Okay, the stimulus checks are only biding time, folks. America the Great, Babylon the Great has failed. It's never coming back. And the powers that be are actually, folks, they're actually putting a military grid in place to go against the population when they realized that COVID-19 was a trap. Okay? Wake up. Come back to the Most High. Okay? Come back to the Most High. And understand. Some people ask, well, why do we collect? Why do we get money for support? Because we understand anything we get to make something tangible for our people in this, anything we get, we're going to have to turn that into something tangible, knowing that we're not taking the mark of the beast. We're going to need scenarios and where we could go. You know, I don't know how much I can say here, but we're going to need scenarios in which we can actually go have land, food, and provisions for a time until we can go to someone else, some other place. The Bible tells us when you're persecuted in one city, flee into the next, and you have to use what you have tangible now for temporary reprieve from one place to the next. And that's why we're actually collecting and getting what we can to help our people. Okay? We're the same ones who told you a long time ago, 7 years ago, we were telling you to store food. So we're gonna need land in different places. Okay? We're gonna need some place where there's running water for brothers and sisters when this stuff break off. And know that will only be temporal to get us from one place to the next. But I'm going to tell you, whether people believe it or not, it is up to you to, we don't care if you believe it, to tell you the truth. The Most High through the Holy Spirit is guiding this work. He's guiding this work. The money's not going to do us any good if we don't take the mark of the beast anyway, right? So we might as well put it into something tangible to have a place of refuge from one place to the next as this goes down. Knowing that it's going to be one day that we'll leave that alone when the Holy Spirit shows us the next phase in this. Okay? But here we go. And I'm going to tell you, the good old Americans are going to blow their top when they realize what this thing is. And I'm talking about those who've always believed in America. And Christians out there, those who claim they believed in Christ, guess what? You so-called Christians, you're going to get a rude awakening, folks, because Christ is not coming up to rapture you. He's not coming to rapture you while some antichrist institutes the mark of the beast on the earth. It's not going to happen. The Jesuits lied to you. They're the same people who taught you the strong delusion. The Babylonian Semiramis, virgin mother of Talmud's deception. You don't even know, you haven't even learned Christ in Christianity, in Western world Christianity. They've lied to you. They switched out Christ with Talmuds. You haven't been worshiping Christ. You're about to get a rude awakening, folks. Guess what? You've been following a strong delusion so long, not believing the truth concerning our God, the God of Israel in that Bible and his son Christ. What's to stop them from entertaining or presenting a new delusion? COVID. If they can lie on God, lie on the Bible, and no one say anything. If they can lie on God's people and no one say anything, what's to stop them from lying about this? Huh? What's they lied on Christ. What's to stop them from lying now? Support this work. Stay prayed up. The Sabbath is about to come in. And guess what? You know what? I'm going to enjoy this day. I'm not going to listen to the news because the Democrats and the Republicans are two wings of the same bird playing either side while what? While the right arm, the right arm, which is the red arm, and the blue arm is choking Americans out. Okay? But stay put. They'll probably give you a phase of normality by May 1st. And then they may kick the can down the road and say, well, I'll tell you what, maybe May 15th. Well, I don't know. Are they going for it? Did they go for it? They still sitting back. Okay, why don't we just push it back to October? How about that? Okay. While what? While people are now, especially those who don't believe in the Bible, who trusted in America, begin to blow their brains out and commit suicide after losing their last cent on a business their whole family invested on. Okay? Now we understand why you're talking about people were jumping out of the windows and killing themselves during the Great Depressions. Because these were people who believed in the American dream. But guess what? There's some hope for us, though, because the American dream have always been our nightmare. Okay? It's always been our nightmare because the same people have always benefited from this country and the Western world have always seen an injustice done to us in these neighborhoods and never said a thing. Never said one word. Well, don't worry about me. I got my white picket fence. I got my big house. Hey, fend for yourself. The American dream is over, folks. It's time to work towards a new kingdom, a new heaven, and a new earth under Christ and the Almighty, because he's coming. Don't follow the delusion, folks. Don't follow the delusion at all. Prepare according to the Most High. And if you want to know how to prepare, of course, we're going to go into it, Revelation 18 and Revelation the 19th chapter. We're going to jump right in, and we're going to try to have that thing started by at least 12 noon. Okay? 12 noon tomorrow. Also, I told the elders, listen, let's start setting up a scenario in which we can baptize people. All over the earth, wherever we are, it's time to give some water. I told the elder, the bishop, make sure he fill the baptism pool. Okay? It's time to win souls for the Most High. It's time to clean souls for the Most High and prepare for the world to come, because this thing is done. Anytime someone can use a talking head on television to have you go crawl up in a corner in your home from some boogeyman, and when you go outside, there's nothing happening. Anytime someone can tell you to do that and you just capitulate, the freedom is over anyway. It's over. It's over. Okay? Babylon the Great is fallen. And for those who missed it, I'll just play it again for those who missed it real quick, and then we'll wish you all Godspeed. Here's a woman who was told her father should be put down like a dog under COVID-19. One moment.
My name is Marcia Lawrence Russell. This is the first time that I'm doing Facebook Live because, to be honest, I don't really like doing anything like this. But I really think it's important that I tell you all about the injustice that's still going on with black people. Now, all of you would have heard that for some unknown reason, more black people are dying of coronavirus and COVID-19 than white people. How can that be when we only make up 3.1% of this population? So immediately when I heard that, my work is in this kind of field. So immediately I said, well, that's got to be something around the fact that we're not getting the same kind of care, not even knowing that I would be one of the people that experience it. So my father is a diabetic. He has other ongoing problems, and he had an infection. We were trying to treat it at home. He'd had numerous calls out to the ambulance. Anyway, eventually, he had to be taken into City Hospital in Birmingham. City Hospital on Dudley Road in Birmingham. He had to be taken into hospital. We were told so he can get antibiotics intravenously. When the first report that we got after he's being admitted, we were told that he had delirium. And that was as a result of him having having taken some blood results, that he had low sodium in his blood. So they sought to manage that. We thought, okay, fine, it'll be okay, they'll just manage that. Lo and behold, they also, actually, before I say lo and behold, before that, they did other tests. So they did a scan because of his confusion, and they eliminated, thank the Lord, they eliminated Alzheimer's or dementia. They did scans of his chest, scans of his abdomen, and everything came back clear. So we were more or less content that he would just get treated for the delirium. In the afternoon, my father's confusion became more pronounced in that he was becoming a bit aggressive in the hospital. Of course, it was his illness. And by the early evening, my sister called an emergency meeting of the family. And she was told, the consultant now said, believe this, I'm thinking about it now and I want to cry, but it's important that I put everything aside to let you know what's happening. And the consultant on Ward 30 at the City Hospital said that she's now going to put my father on a suspected COVID-19 ward. Naturally, we said, has he got a cough? No. Has he got high blood pressure? No. Has he got any kind of symptoms that we're aware of that for COVID-19? No. We're thinking this is crazy. You can't just go and put a man who's now 79, diabetes, obviously confused, onto a suspected COVID-19 ward. She said, well, he's got delirium. Okay, where is it reported that delirium is a sign of put on the ward? Of course, we're praying people. We prayed about it. We said, okay, look, what we'll do, as long as there's nobody on the suspected ward that has COVID-19, it'll be reasonably safe. We're going to pray. Let him go over there. I've got children. My sister's got children. So we all got levels of vulnerabilities. We'll do that, and then we'll deal with this on Monday, because this actually happened yesterday, Sunday, Easter Sunday morning, Sunday day. We get back, having made that very, very difficult decision. My sister calls back the consultant while we are there. Previous to this, I must say that they said to him that because he's got some level of kidney failure, that if he does go onto the COVID-19 ward and he has any difficulties, lo and behold, they are not going to resuscitate him. I'm thinking this is why black people are dying for COVID-19 or not on these wards when we only make up such a small minority of the population. This is... Anyway, when she was saying to Rachel, to my sister, look, are you going to come and get him or not? I'm actually saying my dad can't possibly have COVID-19 because you all will know that if he does have COVID-19, they can't let him out of the ward. Plus the fact that he's confused. They didn't ask about his wife, and now he has got a wife. She's in her 80s. They didn't ask about his wife. They haven't done any follow-up about whether or not we have to be in isolation. Nothing. They just said that he's going in that ward, and that's it. We had to make an immediate decision. And I drove down with my other sister, took him from City Road at 10:30 in the evening last night. My father, after a little while, came down from the ward without the aids of any kind of wheelchair. He's not stable on his feet. Without any aid of wheelchair. He came down without a mask. The nurses got a mask. Security's got a mask. The people manning the door have got a mask. Everybody's got a mask but my father. So it's a good job that I had with me masks and sanitizers and gloves, put something on my car, even though I know he hasn't got it, to transport him to Refuge Hospital.
That's her father. They say, listen, we're going to put him on a COVID ward, which means they'll put a ventilator down his neck, sedate him to make you believe he's dying of COVID, probably take his organs and throw them in the trash like nothing. I'm glad she went and got her father. How many of us are going to believe these phone calls when they call us concerning our family, claiming that we have COVID when the real plan is to put us down like dogs? And where's the men? I mean, I can't stress that enough. Where are the men? She went and got her father. Crazy Almighty. That's honorable right there. That's a woman right there. That's a woman.
All the way up there, there is another angel in there. I'm not going to call his name just in case he doesn't want to be known. But I'm sure if he wishes, he will link in on this at some point. But God sent another angel. He was over there. They admitted my father. We went away thinking, okay, great. This morning, very, very early at 5 o'clock, unfortunately, the confusion happened again. My dad became a little bit more aggressive again. And so they were wondering how to sedate him. Now, here's the next level of incompetence. Gross misconduct. Breach of the medical oath of first do no harm. The city hospital didn't even pack my father's insulin. So I had to go all the way down with my other sister to pick up the insulin, to go back with my other sister, to go back to Redditch to drop off his insulin. Lo and behold, my father is now once again in the suspected COVID-19, you know what I mean, ward. Why? Have you done a test? Yes. Is his chest all clear? Yes. Is he breathing? Yes. No. Is there any temperature? No. Exactly the same thing. Why is he in the ward? Because City Road put in the report that my father was actually on their suspected virus ward. There is nothing on the report which says that there was any kind of contention with the family, that he was removed from the hospital prior to going onto that ward. Nothing. And yet, because of what was written in the report, fair enough, Redditch followed suit, read what was in the note, and put it up there again down to City Road. So we all need to understand that the only possible reason why black people are dying of COVID-19 to a higher rate than our white counterparts has got to be for something other than this virus, which is not a medical form as if it was sickle cell. We're not getting the same treatment. People are dying. They're saying that it's COVID-19 and they're not even got the disease. So people, please support this movement. Pass it on. Let us get together and fight against this injustice in the midst of the fact that I appreciate I go out there every Thursday and I clap for the nurses. But I'm telling you, in the midst of all of this, there's something going on and somebody needs to say something. See ya.
Hey, people are standing up. Okay, people are standing up, and I read the article about it right here. It's like this. The whole world is being deceived on a possible hypothetical. And if they can do this, what's to stop them from doing what they're about to do? Babylon the Great is fallen, folks. Prepare, get our spirits together, and guess what? Never look at your people as the virus. Okay? The real viruses are those talking heads on TV controlling the masses. The real virus is Satan and his ministers. There's nothing wrong with you. Wake up. Wake up, because they're telling you what they're saying in a nutshell, folks, is that all of humanity, the image of God, is the disease they must vanquish, that they must utterly destroy. That's what they're saying. They're saying that we are the disease. This is the only disease that can be diagnosed even without a test. Okay, you look like COVID-19 to me. Okay, good. Okay, you like COVID-19. Oh, we did a test. You don't have no symptoms? Well, this is one of those diseases that you can actually have with no symptoms. No symptoms at all. Okay, no symptoms. But there's a chance you may breathe around other people. And if they die inadvertently, we would suspect that you probably spread that disease to a person who died. Okay? You see how ridiculous this is? You be like, how am I testing positive? We said you positive. That's you don't, yeah, you positive. You look positive to me. Put on a mask, go lock yourself in your closet and shut up. Okay? You look like COVID to me. Okay? And when we come with that mark of the beast, the only thing we need you to ask is, where do you want me to put it? All right? Shut up, go home, get scared, lock yourself in a closet, put a mask on, tie yourself up, and wait for Satan to come in and totally spiritually molest you, okay? With that, I'm going to say shalom. Get ready for tomorrow. Revelation 18 and Revelation 19. Elder Lawyer and I is going to break this down like you've never seen before. And of course, Shapat says he has some serious news coming in for the Academy that you don't want to miss in this so-called fake environment, which is really the coming of our Lord. That's what's really going on, the coming of our Savior against the enemies of deceit. Okay? The Academy, you don't want to miss that this Sunday, okay? Shapat is working on the news as we speak. As you can see, I'll pop in ever so often to give you the updates. And hey, get your life together. Okay, the Most High have always told you the truth through his Bible, and the enemy has always lied. Even atheists are coming to us for the truth now. And you know what? It's okay. This word has always been for you. You're just the product, the prodigal son returning home, or daughter. With that, I'm going to say shalom. And I've seen some diversions in the chat. Ignore that about I baptized myself. Guess what? That's someone who took a shower this morning, okay? Or probably took a bath this morning, all right? Ignore that garbage. If you cannot verify that to the Bible, even Christ couldn't baptize himself. He says, he forced John to do it, okay? He forced John to baptize him. He says, because between you and I, it's between us to fulfill all righteousness. The Bible tells us where two or more are gathered in the midst, the Spirit is in the midst of that. So if you by yourself being baptized, you better watch out who's in the midst with you. It's probably Satan putting you under the water. With that, I'm going to say shalom, and I'll see you tomorrow. Support the church, and we'll see you in the Hebrew and Bible Academy this Sunday. You don't want to miss this, in which we actually detail who is Edom. Shalom.
Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited.